Hello, I'm M Squared, and I am here to introduce to you the process of hematopoiesis, starting with the prefix hemat. It has a Greek origin, and the Greek origin is spelled H-A-I-M-A-T, which means blood. Its suffix poiesis, also Greek in origin, means to make or to synthesize. All right, so let's put it all together. Hematopoiesis, the production of all blood cells, including the formation, development, and differentiation of blood cells. Hematopoiesis takes place inside of the bone. You see these two red dots right here? That's the bone marrow. That is the site of hematopoiesis. All blood cells originate from this hematopoietic stem cell. Hematopoietic stem cells are multipotent stem cells that have the ability to self-renew for long periods of time. This stem cell gives rise to two different lineages. The first is the common lymphoid progenitor. The second is the common myeloid progenitor. So basically, all cells either belong to the lymphoid group or the myeloid group. Beginning with the common lymphoid progenitor, this progenitor gives rise to a mature natural killer cell, and it also gives rise to a mature dendritic cell. The common lymphoid progenitor also gives rise to a B cell progenitor and a T cell progenitor. These are the lymphoid cell progenitors. Notice, I have placed a label for thymus around the T cell progenitor. This is because T cells mature in the thymus before moving to the peripheral tissue. Moving over to the myeloid progenitor, this gives rise to an erythroid progenitor, a megakaryocyte, a mast cell, a dendritic cell, a granulocyte monocyte, an eosinophil progenitor, and a basophil progenitor. Now that we have all of our progenitors made in the bone marrow, let's discuss briefly what's happening. This is a list of cells with lymphoid progenitors on one side and all of the myeloid progenitors on the other. Please notice the color coding of arrows for consistency. The lymphoid side has green arrows, as you can see, and the myeloid side has blue arrows. In science, a precursor cell can also be called a blast or a progenitor cell. Either are acceptable. However, for the purposes of this video, I will be referring to immature cells as progenitors. Now, let's get back to the common lymphoid progenitor lineage. Let's see. We have a T cell progenitor, and we should all know that T cells mature in the thymus. The T cell progenitor produces a T helper cell, which is also known as a T helper CD4+. It also produces a T cytotoxic cell, which is also known as a TCCD8+. The B cell progenitor just simply makes a mature B cell, and this is all for our lymphoid progenitor. So our lymphoid progenitor has a B cell progenitor, a T cell progenitor, it produces a natural killer cell, and it produces a dendritic cell. Now moving over to our myeloid progenitor side, we have a erythroid progenitor, we have a megakaryocyte, we have us a mature mast cell, a mature dendritic cell. We have us a granulocyte monocyte progenitor. We have an eosinophil progenitor, and lastly, a basophil progenitor. The erythroid progenitor produces erythrocytes. The megakaryocyte produces platelets. The granulocyte monocyte progenitor produces neutrophils, which can also produce monocytes and macrophages, which is interesting because dendritic cells can also give rise to macrophages and monocytes. We also have our eosinophil progenitors, which give rise to eosinophils. And lastly, we have our basophil progenitor, which produces basophils. If you'll notice, the bottom part of this diagram is red to represent the mature cells migrating into the peripheral tissues. The black part just simply represents the inside of the bone marrow. And then here we have our frame around our thymus to show where our T cells have to mature. Thank you for listening to my video. This is M Squared out.